rated T to M. Hey, want to hear a PC Game Pass ad? I'll take your silence as a yes. Want new games on day one like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 or Stalker 2? I thought so. How about unlocking all the League of Legends champions when you link your Riot Games account? All for one low monthly price? Well, guess what? We got you. Learn more at xbox.com/PC Game Pass or click the banner. Stalker 2 available November 20th, 2024. Game catalog varies by region and over time. And that's the end of the script.
We are less than 2 weeks away from Christmas, and the race to see who is in contention for the playoffs and who is not is heating up. The Chiefs doinked their way to another division title. Buffalo slip up in LA. The Lions continue to roll the dice and continue to win, while it's the Seattle Seahawks who are emerging as the team to beat in the NFC West. Week 14 had it all. What's next? Well, let's turn the page and find out as we look ahead to Week 15 in the NFL.
Graves on Gridiron with Richard Graves.
Hello, welcome along to the show. This is Graves on Gridiron. I am your host, Richard Graves. And what a week of action we've seen in the National Football League. All the drama, all the tension, all the excitement you come to expect as we hit the business end of the season. And it didn't disappoint. Those Kansas City Chiefs continue to find different ways to win. At 12-1, they are tied with the Detroit Lions for the best record in football right now. Both are already booked into January football. They will be in the postseason on the road to New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. What of the show? Well, we went 1-2 against the line last weekend. That means for the first time since the opening month of the season, we are down on the overall record, 19-20 against the line. If you are new to the show and wondering what the heck I'm talking about, well, it's quite simple. Each week we look at the slate of games on offer in the NFL. I pick 3 of those and then look at what the odds makers are saying and dissect, break down those matchups and give you my opinion. What we've seen over the last 2 weeks is that we've covered the spread in one of the 3 games, but we've been defeated in the other 2. Back-to-back weeks with 1-2 records leaves us at 19-20 for the season. That needs to change, and it needs to change now. So we're not going to hang around. We're going to dive straight into it with the 3 games from Week 15, and we will start with the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs and their 12-1 record as they get ready to go into Cleveland to face the Browns with a 3-10 record. On paper, it seems a mismatch. The total points line for this game is at 45.5 points. And while they may not have been the most entertaining team this season, and they may not have blown opponents away with high-scoring offense, make no mistake, the Kansas City Chiefs are still the yardstick marker by which every other team in the National Football League judges themselves. At 12-1, we've already said their record is tied for the best in the entire NFL alongside the Detroit Lions. The Lions, of course, have been blowing opponents off the park. The Chiefs, meantime, have been grinding out results. 10 of their wins have come by just a 1-score margin. 3 different kickers have connected with walk-off game-winning field goals for them this season. They've blocked a field goal attempt that would have beaten them. They've forced a turnover with their opponent in field goal range ready to beat them. They've had the benefit of the odd officiating decision. They have embraced drama at every turn, but when the dust settles and everything clears, these are the undeniable facts. The Kansas City Chiefs currently hold the number 1 seed in the AFC. They've now won their division for a 9th straight season. And they've now recorded 12 wins in 6 of the last 7 years. It's no surprise then that they are the favourites going into Cleveland against a team who've only won 3 games themselves all season, had 3 different starting quarterbacks, and frankly have failed to live up to the preseason hype. But I will say this, overlook Jameis Winston and the effect he has on games at your peril. Never dull, always entertaining, and you have to say, whenever Jameis Winston is starting at quarterback, strap yourselves in. It's going to be a roller coaster of a ride. He'll sling the ball around, and he is just as likely to find the end zone on several occasions as he is to throw a pick 6 in a game. Whichever Jameis turns up, one thing is for sure, the Chiefs are going to have to work to get a result in this game. On paper, I've said it appears a mismatch. I think it might be more closely fought than that. The fans are still going to be loud, and Cleveland is never an easy place to go and play football. We shouldn't expect a few fireworks in this one, though, because the Chiefs have a 6th-ranked defense. They're going to look to feast on Jameis Winston's errors, and you would expect to get a couple of opportunities from Winston in a game. The Browns will take chances. Interestingly, every other game they've played over the last 6 weeks, the result has been a high-scoring affair, and it's always followed a relatively low-scoring game. Well, the Browns headed to this one on the back of a 27-14 loss to Pittsburgh. Every other week over the last 6 has seen the game total reach at least 49 points. If that trend continues, then this will be another high-scoring affair. And backed by the Dawg Pound, I see nothing but encouragement for the Cleveland Browns and Jameis Winston, with the added spice of knowing they are going up against the reigning champions and they have the chance to take them down. If Cleveland do go down in this game, they're going to go down all guns blazing. I expect the Chiefs to win, but that's not where I'm looking. I'm looking at that total points mark, 45.5 combined for this game. Take the over. It's going to be something of an anomaly for the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm sure, but I expect points to be put on this board one way or the other. Over 45.5 total points in this match.
Graves on Gridiron.
Next up, we're looking to Texas and the Houston Texans with an 8-5 record at home to the 6-7 Dolphins. And it'll be no surprise when you look at that on paper that it's Houston with home field advantage that go into this game as 3-point favorites. They are the team coming off a bye week, and Miami, an overtime win that they had to grind out against the Jets. That game was one which the Dolphins were expected to win comfortably at home, but they had to come from behind to keep their playoff hopes alive. And they did, just. That's not to say all things are rosy in the Texans' garden right now, though. This season has been more of a struggle for them than many expected, me included. And although they do hold a 2-game lead at the top of the AFC South, it has been far from plain sailing. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games, and the chance of an extra week to prepare for this clash, I think, will be more than welcome for them, and they'll believe they have the talent in their squad to mount a serious run now at what is the business end of the season. Miami, on the other hand, go into this game knowing they can't afford many, if in fact any more slip-ups at all, if they are to make the postseason. On paper, their offense hasn't fired. It ranks 19th overall. It's 23rd in the NFL in scoring offense. That is disappointing for a unit with so many weapons. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Achan coming out of the backfield as well. But that stat does include a substantial period this season when they were without quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. He's a player that divides opinion. Some people think he is the missing piece in the Miami offense, and if he can complete a season healthy and fully fit, that'll be the difference. Others in Miami are already ready to move on. But what you cannot argue is the stats since he returned to action in Week 8. Since Week 8, this Miami Dolphins offense is a top 6 ranked unit. They've won 4 of their last 5, and 2 of their 3 defeats since he returned were by a combined total of just 4 points. In fact, across 7 games, they've scored fewer than 23 in a game on just the one occasion. That was in the loss at Green Bay. This team is playing good football right now, folks, and they face a Texans offense which has coughed and spluttered at various points this season. Houston, 18th overall, quarterback C.J. Stroud in his second season, hasn't been firing on all cylinders, and this will be a game, I think, which will tell us a lot about where both these teams are heading in December. It won't be a blowout win for Houston. I am confident of that. And what's more, I think Miami might just go into Houston and cause an upset. So I'm looking at the underdog here. The underdog are the Dolphins, +3 going into this game. Will they win? They need to win if they're going to make it into the playoffs, I feel. Houston are coming into it off a bye week. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm going to go in Miami on this. Roll the dice and take the Miami Dolphins at +3. That's 2 of the 3 games from the Week 15 slate looked at. We've got 1 more to come. Where are we going to go? Stay tuned and find out after these short messages.
Graves on Gridiron.
Two games out of three looked at from the Week 15 slate have already been broken down. We've looked at the Houston Texans hosting the Miami Dolphins and, of course, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs going to the Cleveland Browns. We're going to round up Week 15 with perhaps the surprise package of this 2024 NFL season. The Denver Broncos at 8-5 in the AFC West sit behind the Kansas City Chiefs. And this weekend, they host the 6-7 Indianapolis Colts. Hands up if you had Denver making the playoffs this season. I'll tell you right now, I certainly didn't, and they may still fall short. But they've put themselves in a terrific position to end a 9-year postseason drought. That's right. The 2015 season was the last time you saw the Denver Broncos in the playoffs. And that year they went on and won it all at Super Bowl 50. Now, with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, they're set to return again if they can close out the regular season. And they can take a giant step towards it with victory this weekend over the Indianapolis Colts. It won't be an easy contest, though, because the Colts themselves still have an eye on being in the playoffs themselves. Despite sitting with a 6-7 record, they well and truly remain in the hunt, but can ill afford any more losses. That means they need to find some consistency. They've lost 4 of their last 6 games, but the optimists around here will tell you they've won 2 of their last 3. Their wins have come against what I would term poor teams this season by record, the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. Their losses have come against the better teams that are very much in the playoff hunt. The Detroit Lions, the Buffalo Bills, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Houston Texans. So what Colts should we expect to see this weekend? Well, playing in the rarefied air at Mile High, it's going to need to be a team which plays solid, physical, mistake-free football, one that can be every bit as physical as the Denver Broncos. The problem you have is that quarterback Anthony Richardson is a little bit of a boom or bust type player for Indy. He can wow you with the strength of his arm, make throws from all sorts of positions and angles that, frankly, physically, you shouldn't be able to do. And he makes plays with his legs. But he's also a quarterback who's only thrown 7 touchdowns this year. He's also thrown 9 picks. He's scored 4 rushing touchdowns, but he's lost 3 fumbles. And now he's going up against a Denver defense, which is one of the very best in the National Football League this season. They rank 8th overall, 4th in points allowed. They're giving up just 18 points per game on average. They're 9th when it comes to taking the football away from the opposition. Their weakness on paper, defending the pass. They rank 19th in pass defense this season, but they have one of the very best cornerbacks in the league right now, shutting down receivers across the league. Cornerback Patrick Surtain, and throw into the mix that Anthony Richardson just frankly isn't very accurate with the ball when he takes to the air. And the only way realistically I see Indy getting out of Denver with a win is if they can have a strong run game. But the Denver Broncos are number 6 when defending the run. This team is hot right now, folks. They've scored 41, 29, and 38 points in their last 3 games. All of those wins for the Broncos. They've had the bye week to prepare for this matchup, and that's extra time for head coach Sean Payton to scheme for whatever Indianapolis come into town and have to offer. If Denver can close this out, I think they look certainties to be in the postseason. If Indy lose this game, their season might just be over. You might very well just be able to put a fork in the Indianapolis Colts. I'm riding with the Broncos on this one. Home field advantage will play a part. Take the Broncos to cover at minus 3.5. Okay, so there's the 3 games we're taking from the Week 15 slate. As I always say at this point in the podcast, folks, remember, first and foremost, it's entertainment, it's about enjoyment and having fun. And that goes for these games as well, to accompany your Sunday night viewing. To recap which games we've looked at and where I'm going, we start with the Kansas City Chiefs going into Cleveland to take on the 3-10 Browns. Look at the total points mark in this one. I think we're going to have some fireworks. Over 45.5 points total in this game. Take the over. Then it's on to Houston as the Texans host the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are coming good at just the right point in the season. Houston fresh off a bye week. They will look to be re-energized. I'm still going with the visitors. Take the Miami Dolphins at +3 before we finish out at Mile High in Denver. The Broncos at 8-5, looking to end a 9-year playoff drought, host the Indianapolis Colts. And the Broncos are hot. They're rested. They're off a bye week. I think they win and win big in this one. Take the Denver Broncos to cover at -3.5. As always, if you want to read a little bit more about the 3 games we discussed on this week's pod, then go to my website, www.rdgmedia.uk. Click on that Talking Sport app, and there you will see NFL Week 15. Overcoming the odds, 3 games to watch. Click on that, and there you'll see a breakdown of all 3 games. Equally, if you have something to get off your chest, get in touch on social media. On X, it's @RichardGraves1. On Instagram, RDG Media UK. Equally, Richard Graves RDG Media on Facebook as well. Whatever is your platform of choice, I want to hear from you. Get in touch. We are at the business end of the season. It's where playoff positions are being decided. It's where futures, careers are also being decided now. In the month of December, Christmas is close at hand. Who's going to be unwrapping an early playoff Christmas present this week? We'll find out in the days to come. I can't wait for one, and I'm looking forward to breaking it down with you again next week on Graves on Gridiron. But for now, so long, everybody.
Subscribe to Graves on Gridiron wherever you listen to podcasts. And keep up to date with the latest on Twitter. Search for Richard Graves 1. That's Richard Graves, the number 1.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.